Welcome to the Darkstream, Vox Day, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Good to see you all again, and I'm pleased to be able to say, and you can probably see, that we have addressed our delay problem. It turned out that it was just a NVIDIA driver issue. Had nothing to do with the camera, and it was pretty irritating, but I have to say that the XSplit support was pretty good, and so we still might be a little bit off with we might not be in perfect sync with the video and audio, but it is significantly better than it was. So that's good. Also, I should have some good news as well about my internet connection. Supposedly, I'm going to be able to significantly upgrade it, which should give us better streaming stability, and is also going to make my life a lot easier with regards to the massive amount of large videos that we are suddenly dealing with. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. John McClellan said, no one should be banned. Well, it's possible that no one will behave in a manner to get themselves banned tonight, but you never know. The track record of these open chats is not good in that regard, but c'est la vie. So anyhow, so what we're working on right now, as a lot of you are aware, is we are in the process of launching we'll call it the alpha version of Unauthorized. We'll call it Unauthorized 2, just for lack of a better term. It's going to be the only Unauthorized fairly soon, but we're keeping the other one up for now, although we're focusing our updates on the new one because everybody is going to be there fairly soon. And I'm going to walk you through it tonight. And it's of particular importance because of what happened earlier today, and that's what the title, of course, is about. Banning the Big Bear, Take 37. One of the first things I saw in my email this morning was that Owen managed to get himself banned from a platform that I didn't even recognize, something called Podbean. Now, apparently, Podbean is a little bit more familiar to some than others, because when I looked it up, I found out that the Darkstream actually has MP3s up there, and apparently there have been 786,000 downloads or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but anyhow, it was kind of amusing to not really be familiar with something and then find out that it's actually fairly popular. In fact, one of the more popular ways for people to access our content, but that's not going to happen anymore. So we are not going to leave the Darkstream up on Podbean or anywhere else. I mean, what we've learned from these experiences, and what Owen and I were talking about this earlier today, and the thing is that now that we have our own platform, there's no reason for us to waste any time, effort, or even engage with any of these other platforms. And we'll probably put some stuff out there, some stuff to help people get familiar with it and that sort of thing. But the reality is that we have a very strong, very functional, and very effective community. And it doesn't really do us any good to be putting our stuff out there and then having it removed and that sort of thing. You know, I mean, you do have the issue of, well, you know, it's nice because, you know, you can introduce new stuff to people on some of these other platforms. But frankly, that doesn't really work very, very well anymore because of all of the algorithm manipulation. You know, whoever controls these platforms has a very highly refined ability to decide what you see and what you don't see. And that refinement is going to continue, and it's only going to get more and more significant. And this is why they have to kick us off the platforms. It's because we're simply too good. We're simply much better at most of the things that we get involved with. And I'm not talking about myself, and I'm not talking about Owen. I'm talking about the whole group of people who are on unauthorized, as well as some of the new people that are going to be coming on unauthorized, because more and more people, more and more creators are understanding the problem. And, you know, some of the names of the people that are going to be joining unauthorized in the next year are going to surprise you. And, you know, so here's what's interesting. I popped up this chart to explain my point here. Now, I had never heard of Webtoons until about, I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago. And, you know, it was because the legend Chuck Dixon and I were talking about what the implications of Diamond, the distributor, going under. Or not going under, but, you know, having to stop payments and stop shipments and all that sort of thing too. And, you know, what was interesting was we realized after looking at it that this was really going to be the future of comics. And it was really, really a slick way to use and view the comics on a smartphone. That's what it's all about. Webtoons is all about vertical orientation, vertical panel by panel orientation. And so I thought, okay, well, this may be the future, so we better try it out. Well, after a grand total of 5 weeks, Alt Hero is already the number 4 superhero comic on Canvas. And Chuck Dixon's Avalon is already number 9 and 10. This is funny. Kevin Hansen is his bow tie is spinning and he doesn't get it. You're an adult talking about games and comics. Am I in the Twilight Zone? Kevin, one of my games sold 6 million units. Okay? Culture is about things like games and comics. Ever Change Bear said, congrats, but I expected number 1. Well, no, the thing is that what's interesting is that the other 4 webtoons up there, Overpowered, Supervillain Day Life, Power Pills, and the Uniques, have between 95 and 220 episodes. So they've been around for a long time. They've been building up their following. They've been building up their subscriptions. We managed to get there in 5 episodes. And, you know, that's why we keep getting attacked on these platforms, because when we show up, we outcompete them. And they don't want, you know, the new stuff that we're doing is going to be specifically aimed at webtoons and specifically aimed at developing new stories that are going to be more and more effective on that platform. And so, and we're able to do this because we have this great set of strong backers who allow us to, experiment with these things and try these different things. And what's interesting is that more and more people in the industry are coming around to wanting to work with us. We've gone from being persona non grata to people choosing to work with us instead of wanting to work for Marvel, and instead of wanting to work for DC, because those companies are doing very poorly. If you look at all these companies, Kickstarter laid off 40% of their staff, including their comic outreach gatekeeper. I pointed out on the blog how absolutely ridiculous it was that this comics outreach coordinator never ever reached out to the people, to the comics company that had produced the #1 new comic crowdfunding of all time. All right. And so, the more that we keep focusing on trying new things, experimenting with new platforms, as well as developing our own platforms, the more we are able to compete effectively with them. And it's not going to get any easier for them. Look at what happened to EA. EA just hired a literal East German secret policewoman to police the thoughts and speech of the people playing their games. That is not going to win over gamers. And it's becoming more and more obvious that this is a serious global cultural war between good and evil. We are on the side of good. They are on the side of evil. Andrew Cannon says, Chuck Dixon's working with Sylvester Stallone. Can we start a rumor that he's coming to Unauthorized? Sylvester Stallone is not going to come to Unauthorized. He has his own business. He has his own thing, and he's built his own platform. And it's going to be. It won't be surprising if we do eventually do some work with them at some point in time. And so, Yosarian points out Webtoon's Korean market is far larger. Hiring a translator we might look into that at some point in time. Girl Hacks asks, Vox, if your predictions are so accurate, why haven't you made millions betting on predictions? How do you know I haven't? Also, do you think Trump ever lies? I'm certain he has. But the main reason that I don't make millions betting is because I don't bet. I don't gamble. I learned early on that it was not a good or a ethical way to to spend my time and money. And that's also why I don't invest in the stock market. That's just gambling. And so, but again, you can't understand my perspective on things if you think I care about fancy pants and lollipops. I'm not saying that I don't care about, I'm not a hermit. We need money to do things. We can't build the platform without the support of the subscribers, right? Girl Girl Hack says, but make the money, then get out and use your money for good. That's exactly what everybody who takes the ticket thinks they can do. You can't corrupt yourself just a little bit. It's like saying, well, I'm just going to snort this cocaine once because I really need a pick-me-up. You know, you can't take part of the ticket. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You have to either take the ticket or reject it. And every single person at Unauthorized, every single creator at Unauthorized is somebody who has turned down the ticket at some point or another. Yeah, the Wrath of the Monarch has it right. I'm only going to use the one true ring for good. You know, Tolkien knew this. Tolkien understood this. You know? And so then, you know, what we're talking about doing here is we are building a way for people to succeed on their own without having to sell their soul. That's the goal. You know, and there's going to be, just like you saw with Podbean yesterday. That's why, you know, that's why you can't rely on them. You can't play with them. You know, they will find a way to either corrupt you or otherwise interfere with what you're doing if you attempt to play their game. If you play their game, then they make the rules. And so, you know, it's important to understand the way things actually work. You know, one of the things that has been really interesting is, you know, we've been, Owen's been engaged in this battle with Patreon. And what's very clear is that Patreon and its lawyers don't understand the rules. You know, for a while we weren't certain if they you know, didn't understand the rules or if they just didn't care. And what we eventually realized is that it was actually both. Alex Huchins actually asked a really good question. Can you run a successful company in tech without playing their game? It depends on the nature of it. But what you cannot do is you cannot build a company like Google. You cannot build a company like Facebook. You cannot build a company like Kickstarter without playing their game and taking the ticket, because none of those companies have ever made any money. You know, I mean, Google now makes money because they managed to, you know, achieve a monopoly and so forth. Amazon isn't really like those companies. Amazon is a real company. Amazon is a very successful company that provided a real service, that continues to provide real services. You know, Google, all they did was, you know, use money for nothing and government boosting for nothing in order to achieve a monopoly position and vacuum up all of the online advertising revenue with Facebook. And so, but they're not real companies. They produce nothing. They do nothing. You know, I mean, it's kind of funny. I actually knew a number, I shouldn't say knew, I know a number of the people who work in Google acquisitions at the highest levels, and smart people, you know, pretty good people. And the interesting thing is that their track record of successfully acquiring companies and developing them is absolutely horrific. It's near total failure. Is seeking if you're playing the VC game, you've already lost. VC is all about picking winners and losers. And so there's no way to play that game. I know a fair amount about that because I have a lot of friends who have been deeply involved in that intersection of technology and investment, that little world. And it's just you will not get past a certain point with anybody if you are if you're not the equivalent of a mafia made man. And so there's a VC means venture capital. And so when you look at this stuff, it's not worth it. And any company that is playing the eyeballs game, any company that is, especially that is playing the eyeballs game with other people's money, is not a real company. And so anyhow, and you're going to see these companies failing sooner rather than later. It will be interesting to see if Patreon even lasts another year. Obviously they'll have to make some difficult choices and so forth, but the way that they have structured themselves, and the way that all these companies have structured themselves, pretty much all of these companies except Facebook and Amazon and Google, well, and Apple, of course, they are incredibly fragile because they don't have any what do you call it, real product. It's all just smoke and mirrors and convincing eyeballs to play around with it. And don't forget, the most powerful companies during one generation are often gone 2 generations later. And those were real companies with real assets and genuinely valuable employees making real products. These companies are going to disappear faster than you imagine. Partaker Richard, thank you. He says, I subscribed to Unauthorized TV today. The family and I are truly enjoying it. Thank you. You'll be getting your invitation to the new site soon. And we want to encourage everybody to come over as soon as they get their invite, and then we'll be pushing the apps over there as well. In fact, since we're talking about that a bit, let me show you what the new Unauthorized looks like. So I'm going to turn off my camera here because we don't need it. And so this is the first thing that you see. And you notice that it looks a little bit different than the original Unauthorized TV. We made it look very similar, but we wanted to, instead of having the big cards that they had, we added the smaller channels. And so what we have up there so far is OWENS Livestream, the Darkstream, the Legend Chuck Dixon on comics, Barcelona Life, the VOX'S, all 12 of them, Wrangler Star. We've only got a few of his videos up, but we've got a lot of them to load up. Good Gardening, again, we've got a bunch more of his that we need to get up. Let's see. Now this is what's going to be exciting for people is the Big Bear bonus streams, Owen Benjamin shows, and the various content coming out from the Unbearables. And then White Bull Business is also getting back into action. National Spare says, if I'm already a Feed the Bear subscriber, should I check my email? Not yet. We just sent out the invites to annual, premium, and basic members. And the next few thousand invites are going to be going out starting Friday. So So anyhow, this is the front page. And then if you go to the catalog, this is what you'll see. And this is just a screenshot. I can't scroll down. Jilly Bear says, is this what it will look like in the future, how it looks now? These are screenshots I took from the site literally 5 minutes ago. So this is all stuff that's already on there. You can see there's new Chuck Dixon videos. You can see they're up to the latest Darkstream. I think they're up to the latest OWEN livestream, etc., etc. Professor Brown's Medieval History is coming over. In fact, I just uploaded the first 4 of them today. They're not actually up, but they are. But they will all be up there. And Professor Brown is also going to be introducing a new series on Tolkien, which I think is going to be very, very popular. Rob X1776 said, hey Vox, so I just upgraded to basic. Will I still get an invite? Yeah, we're going to circle around and get, there's people whose emails bounce. There's people who just upgraded, etc., etc. We're going to circle back and get everybody. We're going to get everybody on. I would love to do more Voxiversities, but I need to find the time. And frankly, I've just been too busy with this and with the legal stuff, etc., etc. The Roku app is still working, but it's attached to the other site, so we need to make that transition. We're going to work on that as soon as we get everybody moved over. The good thing is that the bandwidth that we've got set up is so huge that even if every single subscriber was on there downloading the highest resolution video possible, I don't think that it would choke. No, you can't know the URL because you can't get in if you don't have an invite. So there's no reason to do this. Okay, that's funny. What does Vox make? He's trying to get a comic. He's cartoonist. The idea that I am a cartoonist is hilarious. Okay, so that's the catalog. Now this is what a channel looks like. So these are OWEN's live streams. So if you go to the actual channel, then what you'll see is all of the videos related to, or that are on that channel. So there's different ways to navigate this, different ways to get stuff. We haven't added a search function yet, but it's very apparent that we're going to need to add one soon. And then this is what a creator page looks like. So if somebody's got multiple channels like Owen and I do, then you can see all their channels as well as their, each of the most recent 4, and then you can see that there's a little arrow there, so it allows you to scroll through them. This is what the video page looks like. Now, obviously, you can go full screen, and the longer the video, because of the way that the buffering works, the longer the video, Owen, it can take as much as 10 or 15 seconds to get the initial buffering going, but after that, it's usually pretty smooth. Obviously, it depends on your internet connection. But there's 2 things that I want you to notice. First of all, there's both a download and a picture-in-a-picture function. I have no idea what picture-in-a-picture does, to be honest. I don't think it works on Brave browser. But the main thing that you're going to be interested in is right here in the corner. You can see it says stream audio only. And not only can you check that box, but you can also remember it. So if you are primarily interested in listening, which a lot of people do, I think as many as 50% of our subscribers prefer to, they just like to have it on while they're doing something, so they switch it over to audio so it doesn't keep their phone screen on and drain the battery and so forth. But anyhow, that was the most requested feature that we had. We've already got it operational. And now that Podbean has kicked Owen off, and now that I'm going to pull my stuff down from Podbean, this is going to be the way to get, this will be the way to get MP3s if you want to listen to them, because we have the download option. Eric Fountain says, will it play in background? I have no idea. You'd have to ask somebody who's been using it. Let's see here. Then, if you do go to the audio, this is what you see. It's just a straight up MP3. You can choose to download the whole thing if you like, or you can just listen to it there. Very simple, very easy, no fuss. And then this is probably the most significant page for all of us. Yes, it does play in the background, is the answer to the question. So this is the most significant page, and what I love about it is that it's super simple, it's super fast, and we just upload our videos and our cover screens to the server, and then boom, we're able to get this stuff going immediately. It's literally 20 times faster than the previous site. You might think I'm exaggerating. If anything, I'm underestimating it. It took literally 5 minutes to go through all the screens and deal with all the nonsense and so forth, that my one direction to the programmer was make it simple, make it fast. And we can literally get videos published in a matter of about 10 seconds. And so that is just a huge benefit. And it's why I'm going to be able to keep up. A lot of people said, well, how come you don't get the Darkstreams up right away? And frankly, it's because I dreaded wrestling with that damned content administrator. It's just a frustrating waste of time. And now it's just like, as long as something's on the server, boom, you can get it published right away. And that's why there's so many videos up there. There's already over 100 videos up there, and we just started publishing them, a couple days ago. And so, so this is going to be a major step forward, and you're going to see a lot more content. You're going to from the existing people. There's nobody to tell us that we can't put Mountain Bear stuff up there. There's nobody to tell us that Owen can't be there, etc., etc. And so, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the time to do it. And we're going to keep encouraging people to subscribe to it. Not because we want to acquire lollipops and fancy pants, but because we want to build on this. The tour documentary is just about ready to go. I think it is ready to go, but we're not going to release it until everybody's on the new site, until we get everybody over there. The Darkstreams posted to UATV2 are all locally recorded, so they have no gaps. The audiobooks are going up on the new site soon, probably this weekend, and we'll be adding more. How do we no, you don't unsubscribe on the old site. The subscriptions remain the same. There's no change at all. So, I doubt we'll be doing 7-day-a-week dark streams anytime soon, but I do expect a more regular schedule. And so, but the funny thing is that, here, this might help you put it in perspective. I was talking to I was talking to Ender, my son, and we were talking about Castalia, and we were talking about how much it had grown and how successful it had become from the time that we first talked about it back in 2014. We were out for a walk with the dogs, and I was telling him that I was planning to do this, and so he got the chance to see the whole process, how everything's evolved, how it's all gone. And we were talking about that, and then he said, yeah, he said, I think it's really great that that Castalia has been so successful and Unauthorized has been successful. He said, but Dad, you're wearing the same shirt that you've been wearing for 5 days now. And so, the point is that it's not about the fancy pants, and it's not about the lollipops, and it's not about stuff. It's about building. It's about the good, the beautiful, and the true. And I believe that as long as we stay focused on that, I think as long as we stay focused on creating the best and the most positive and the most useful content out there, that people are going to want to continue to be involved with this. And so, it's, don't worry about it. I'm one of the reasons I can wear a shirt for days in a row is because I'm obsessive about personal cleanliness and showering and so forth. Anyhow, but the point is that you don't have to worry about oh no, what are they going to do with this? What are they going to do with that? You know what we're going to do with that. We're going to take the resources that you guys give us, and we're going to turn it into more stuff, new stuff. I mean, look at what we did just in the comics world. The comics world is collapsing. The comics industry is collapsing. And we're using that period of collapse to focus on pushing forward. We're using it as an opportunity. And that's going to translate, and it is translating already, into movie stuff, television stuff, etc., etc. I mean, do you think that it's a coincidence that the movie stuff is happening at the same time that we're building a streaming channel? That's happening at the same time that we're creating all these new comics and that sort of thing? I strongly believe that that Unauthorized is probably going to have 4 times more subscribers in a year than it does now. And it's going to continue to grow, and then it's going to grow explosively. It's going to grow explosively because all the SJW converged alternatives are collapsing. Disney is collapsing. I mean, they had so much money, and their parks were bringing in so much money that it's hard to imagine. But because of the coronavirus, they haven't been open, and so and they had already taken on $50 billion in debt last year before this happened. And so, we have this huge horizon of opportunity before us. And, you know, it would be, I mean, I wish we had 36 hours in the day and we didn't have to sleep, because we could use it, all of it, effectively. You know, and so, I mean, it's really funny talking to the Legal Legion guys, and they're trying to, you know, they're at it all the time. They're at it constantly. They're already thinking, you know, the first thought with Podbean, by the time that I had talked to 2 of them, they had already investigated all of the relative terms of use, jurisdictions, etc., etc. We already had a strategic analysis done within 45 minutes of us having heard about the deplatforming. Now, it's not something that we're going to bother going after, because the nature of the relationship is not amenable to the kind of legal situation that is most favorable to us. You know, you have to pay attention to these things. You have to know the rules. But you know, we're always prepared for this stuff, and we're already looking at how we will build an alternative to Webtoons if they decide to go the Indiegogo Patreon route. Now, I don't believe they will. There's absolutely no indication that they will, that they have any interest in playing that game. But if they do, I guarantee you we'll be ready. And I guarantee you, I mean, you've seen what we've done with Social Galactic, you've seen what we've done with Infogalactic, you've seen what we've done with the new Unauthorized. Fubear understands where this is going. If Patreon folds, will your group create a replacement platform? We'll either replace it, or we will endorse one of the existing platforms. We'd have to look pretty closely at them, but there is a reasonable chance that we would just build our own. You know, we'll have to wait and see. But now let me see if I can find the super chats here, because this new Google system is not good. Okay, starting Umberto. By that he means Umberto Eco, Legionnaire Bear. Where should I begin? Begin at the beginning. Name of the Rose. However, for the second book, I would not read Foucault's Pendulum. I would actually go to The Island of the Day Before, and then possibly read Bodolino before going to Foucault's Pendulum. Foucault's Pendulum is the best of the books, but it takes a long time to get going. Working Class Bear says, back on Unauthorized, they stopped the autopay. I love it. Social Galactic would be nice. Great job, guys. Working Class Bear, email me your email and whatever your unauthorized level is, and I will make sure that you get a Social Galactic invite right away. Serhat says, Patreon could have stayed in their lane, not expand so fast, and begged for funding. It was a very good service at one point, but now they're trying to get purchased. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I can tell you right now, nobody is going to buy Patreon. They are incredibly fragile, and I mean, it'd be the equivalent of buying a horse for a horse race that had terminal pancreatic cancer or something. Let's see here. Black Coffee says, your Darkstream on how to be effectively smarter is a tremendous resource. Good, I'm glad. Any insights you'd add to Krevold's book, Equality, The Impossible Quest? Well, obviously, I consider Martin Van Creveld to be a brilliant man, and he's one of the very few geniuses I've ever met in my life. But I don't tend to, he's very much a man of the left. And so, it's testimony to his brilliance that he is actually able to understand that equality is impossible. And, he's very honest. And so I would say that you probably don't understand how remarkable it is that a man of the left would write a book that honest and insightful. So, I don't agree with him on things like, the legal status of various peoples and inclinations and so forth. But that's more of a practical disagreement than the theoretical one. I mean, I tend to share his some of his ideals. It's just that I think that he's maybe a little bit more optimistic about the possibility of applying some of those ideals practically than I am. Let's see here. All right, good. Well, I think we covered everything I wanted to cover, other than if you're a Podbean listener, I would encourage you to move over to Unauthorized, subscribe. You're going to get invited within the next week, and that's the way that you're going to be able to access the MP3s/podcasts in the future from most of the unauthorized creators. So we'll keep you posted. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you the next time. I'm VOX'S. This is the Darkstream.